I just see Donnie just came on, and as soon as he requests,
let's grill him.
He's messaged me something.
Why isn't everything in a box behind you?
Why isn't?
No, you should be packed.
Yeah, should be. Should be. All right.
I hope Donnie's wearing his professor outfit like in his picture.
That would be awesome.
He's trying to get in. Is he not connecting?
I don't know. I clicked accept.
At least you can hear me this week.
Yeah. Well, while we're waiting for Donnie to come in, hello everyone. We appreciate you once again being here to what I think is episode 18. I hope so. I hope I didn't miscount.
I don't know. That's a good problem. I don't know what episode number it is. So I'd be like, this is episode 3.
I'm just helping walk him through why it's not bringing him in.
Has he signed into Twitter?
Yeah, and it showed that he requested. Okay, let's try again. Here we go. He requested.
Hey.
There he is. How's it going?
I had to refresh it.
Oh, okay.
I am not wearing my professor outfit.
Do you have that still?
No, I wish I did. I don't. It was actually a really funny. It was a good friend of mine had an idea because back then the company name was Scientific ROI, and so it was me and one other guy, and we took a bunch of pictures of us in lab coats, and then we took like mafia pictures where we held like AR-15 shotguns and stuff, and like big briefcases full of cash, and it was a cool photo shoot. It was the guy that took the photos was Patrick Ingman. He's in Austin, Texas now, and I would be amiss if I didn't mention him. He's a phenomenal photographer.
That's awesome. You should put his link in the comments on the right if anyone wants to check it out.
Yeah, let me look for it. I haven't talked with him in a while. And then here's a quick plug just in case I become super popular one day and this goes viral. Less Accounting, the founder of Less Accounting, his name is Alan Branch. It was his idea for the photo shoot. It was super.
Yeah, I know Alan.
Yeah, he's such a creative guy. And one day, he's the kind of guy where, you know how everyone has ideas and funny ideas. They're like, oh, we should do this. Yeah. He's the kind of guy, he doesn't say that. What he says is, hey, bring a white lab coat, a shotgun, and a briefcase to my house and be here right now. Click.
That's awesome.
Like, and you don't question it. You're just like, okay, all right, I'll get it done.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like the lab coat pictures because I remember when I was in the AppSumo Facebook group, you would answer questions, but you stood out. And I always remember that. And it actually made you, there was something about it that made you kind of stand out above everyone else who was giving advice. So it worked.
Pure accident, but it's funny. Yeah, it was pure accident. So what is I haven't watched any of these.
We're going to ask the questions here, Donnie.
For the record, I quit dipping tobacco, and I'm dipping it's called Smoky Mountain. It's fake dip.
It's
but
like
it tastes better.
I gave up dip, but I went straight to heroin. So
yeah. Hey, but it tastes better. So I'm preaching the word. If anybody dips and watches this, go buy Smoky Mountain. It's amazing. It tastes
way better. Does it take you off of it?
Yeah. It's
nicotine
not,
for your mouth.
Yeah, no, it's not nicotine. It's fake. It's but it's
like nicotine patch. Sorry,
but it tastes better.
Oh, okay. Does it give you like that kick, like the buzz?
No, there's no nicotine in it, but it gives you the habit of it's kind of like having a pin in your mouth. Like instead of smoking a cigarette, they'll chew on pins. It's kind of like that, but for dippers, I guess.
I wonder if they'll think of like some kind of that's like I guess the vape for dippers.
Yeah, but even vape has like nicotine in it.
Yeah, vape's not good.
That's right. Yeah,
those are so bad.
It's apparently awful for you.
This stuff has no nicotine, and it's really cool. Sorry, I'm controlling your conversation.
That's okay, man. We don't really have structure.
We already did kind of the intro. We're waiting for you, so jump in that quick call or that quick little funny story. A couple of them actually.
Yeah, sure.
But we have Donnie Cooper with us today. Both Mike and I know Donnie from the Entrepreneur Group, Noah Kagan's course from back in the day, and we've just kind of known him. I've actually worked for him and with him on stuff, and we were on the phone the other day, and I got off the phone and I was like, you know what? Because the thing I appreciate about Donnie is he's got this kind of way about him where it just I love listening to him talk, especially about business, because he'll just kind of say how it is, and he'll just be like, you know what, no, forget that, this is what we need to do, and and just the bombs he's dropped. There's been a couple of times where I've been on like a casual conversation with him, and he said something. He's like, "This is what you need to do." And one time he was like, "You need to like grow up and like run your business this way." And I got off the phone. I was like, "I do need to grow up and run my business this way." And so like he's never been a coach, but I've learned so much from him. And I hadn't talked to him for a while, like 6 months or so. And I got off the phone with him the other day. And I was like, we need him on here. You know, the way he talks and helps entrepreneurs just with his kind of like no nonsense, like this is what you need to do, just shut up and do it. I was like, he needs to come on here. Our people need to hear that.
I'll feel like a fake if I don't say this. I have to admit it's because I literally have and am still making every mistake that you could even think of. 10 times more mistakes than you've made. I promise you. And I'm currently making like my biggest, good. But I'm learning it from, I have two very good friends, the founders of Less Accounting. You'll hear me mention them a lot. I actually teamed up with them on offering bookkeepers to businesses. Yeah, but they're like mentors to me. And through probably 2 or 3 years of them telling me, shut the F up and just do this, right?
Oh, you can swear.
It took a lot for me to finally start realizing and learning. And so I'm by no means like a Jedi master at this stuff yet, but I feel like I have learned a lot just because I know, like if you say to me, yeah, so we just got a new client, we're going to do a week's worth of work to prove our value, and then we're going to invoice them. I know, because I have lost so much money, I know that that's a terrible choice. I know that that's a terrible mistake, and you're always going to be behind in billing, and they're never going to respect you and your time. No, get the money before you do any work, period,
oh, yeah.
Right? That's a business. If they don't give you money, they're not a customer, and you're wasting your time. But it sounds good until you realize that, and it's because I've messed up so many times. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, I'm not some mythical, like, oh, I know all this stuff. It's just I've literally made and I'm making so many mistakes. Like right now, the biggest mistake I'm making is I'm working probably 70 hours a week, right? And so maybe 60, 70 hours a week, which is an enormous mistake, and I know it.
Why? Why are you working? What are you doing to work that many hours? Right,
that's the question. Like, what can you possibly do, right? And what makes it worse is I have I don't know, eight employees or something like that. And so it's like, how can I possibly be? I think it's a combination of I took on too much. Like for example, Inboundable has 8 different services that they offer.
Yeah,
I should have made it one.
Yep.
Right. That would have been a much easier business. So I think that's 80% of the problem. And then the other percent of the problem is just a personal issue. I'm addicted to work. It's personally, I need to let go and be okay with not having internet connection.
Well, here's the question. If you could just limit your 8 services to one, what would you do and how would you do it?
Honestly, I would look at, it'd probably be our blogging service, because it is it's the lowest touch point, and it's the biggest gap in the market. And so there's not many local businesses that consistently publish to their blogs.
Right.
And so there's a huge market to walk in there and say, hey, look, I know you have a web developer. I know you have a designer. I know you have an SEO guy. I don't want to do any of those things. I just want to publish blog posts to your website once a week. Click here to sign up, and everything's automated. Just give us your WordPress login. You will never have to touch it or deal with it. You'll just see that it's done. And
wow.
It's super automated, and there's a gap in the market. So I'd probably just go for that service. It's not the highest margin. Okay. But it's the easiest to manage, I think. So that's probably what we'd do. Or email newsletters is another one, right? You can go to air conditioning companies and just do air conditioning companies. I was talking to a friend about this the other day. Like, why don't I just? It's because I already have revenue coming in from all these other things. But you could just go to every air conditioning company in your state and say, look, we do one thing and one thing only.
Yep.
Email quarterly newsletters to all of your customers, reminding them to change filters.
Why do you think that people don't do that? Like, I do that all the time. I'm like,
you get scared.
Yeah. Actually, if you get bored, I'm like, why would I want to work with air conditioning people?
No, because I think what happens is a real estate company calls you and says, hey, I heard you're really good. Can you do this also? And you need money, so you say yes.
You know what? Actually, if you have
system, and you say yes because you're scared, you don't believe in yourself, you don't believe that you can actually get enough money just on AC companies because you've never done it before.
Yeah. I actually follow the model that you're talking of. Like, we just do one thing and that's it. And I decided that years ago.
Awesome. How's that working out? Am I right?
Awesome.
Is the grass greener on the other side?
I mean, I almost fell. I work. Fuck, man. I probably, like, if I really get down to like my nose to the grind, I'd probably work from like noon to like 5 or 6, and then I'm done with that.
See, you're more successful than I. So I look at success in terms of. I look at success in terms of hours you work. So have you ever read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah.
No, Jared has.
I have a rich friend, poor friend, and they're both more successful than me. Right? One of them makes a ton of money and works whenever he wants to and takes off more than he works. Right? He's way more successful than me. And then I have another friend of mine who lives dirt poor. I'm talking just. I say dirt poor, but that's derogatory. It's not derogatory at all. It's a choice of lifestyle to him. He literally calculates, this is all I need to be happy, and then the number's really low. Yeah. And that's all. And the moment he makes that, he's done for 3 months.
Yeah, man. There's something said. Actually, Morgan just brought up a good point. I saw. It's funny he said this because I saw this video. This guy does these whiteboard animations where it's all he does, and he just explains topics. Did you see that? I saw it yesterday.
Yeah.
Like last night, and the guy just does that, and he markets advertising to that.
You also have to keep in mind those guys, including me, right? Like little conversations like this. We're never going to tell you, although I probably will. Most people are never going to tell you the negatives or the negatives of all that. So the grass is always greener on the other side until you get there. And so that's one thing you have to keep in mind is like maybe it's not as golden as he says it is, because think about it. If he published those videos and said like, yeah, it's a lot of hard work and I'm not doing well, no one's going to watch them, right? And so I'm not taking it away from him. I'm certainly jealous, don't get me wrong, but
yeah. He brought up the point in this video. He was just kind of taking a note from the 4-hour work week. He was like, if you make like 100,000 a year compared to someone making 30,000 a year, but you do the math on the hours worked, and the 30,000 a year works less hours, and the 100,000 works more hours, are actually making and the 100,000 is actually making less per hour in that sense.
Yeah, that's right. I have a goal. I want to make $1,000 a day and work 1 hour. That's my goal.
It's a good goal.
When I get there, I'll feel successful when I get there.
No, I want to throw a curveball because part of me completely agrees with this. And Mike and I were even talking about this a little bit yesterday. So in one sense, like when it comes to what like I would consider work, I would completely agree. I would love to wake up, maybe write one little email or something, make money, go off and do my day, and everything's automated. But then there's the opposite side of it. If you're the whole idea of do something you love, you don't work a day in your life. So now if you're doing something you absolutely love, then you want to work all day because it's like that's what you'd be doing anyways.
But here's the question I'd make about that. If you just say you're in that moment, right, and you're living that life, you're doing what you love. If the day comes that all of a sudden something happened, maybe you got a new boss or a new customer or something that just you hated working with them, could you quit that day? If yes, I agree with you completely. If no, I don't agree, right? So my point is, if you have enough of a nest egg or enough of cash flow coming in from a diversified source that you can walk away from it at any time, then yeah, you're truly there because you want to be there. But if you can't, if that's your primary means of paying your bills, you're not there because you want to be there. You're there because you have to be. And so,
yeah, I feel like every time I listen to these people who are really successful, they just talk about. I feel like it's like a smoke screen in a sense.
Yeah.
I've never seen. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people on the internet, so you can hear a lot of stories of good and bad, but they'll just talk up this big game of, oh, I make all this money and that's it, and you're like, okay, and you're like, you're like, well, what does your day look like, or how are you doing that? You know?
Yeah.
Or how much money are you actually fucking making?
Yeah, and I think, there's a lot of people saying, oh, I have $1 million a year business. Okay, but what's your profit, right? Because if your profit is 20 grand.
Exactly. I mean, people are like, people are talking about, oh yeah, my business I pull in $10,000 a month. You're like, well, what's your overhead? What are your expenses?
And that's the thing about my business. Like I could tell you our revenue, I could tell you our margin, I could tell you.
We lost him.
I think he kicked out there. He might have hit the. Yeah,
You can hear us, Donnie. Just try to jump back in.
Yeah, just hit open seat, man. Let's just sit in silence till he gets back.
This silence has been sponsored by.
Yeah, that's a good point, though, man. I mean, it's like I feel like every single thing I see is someone advertising me. They're like, "I make a lot of money. You should hire me," and they don't really like. I don't
That's how this whole thing got started. Is you getting myself on the phone, and we were like tired of it. Like we were all successful by internet marketer standards, but we were like not happy. And we were like, well, okay, so rather than try to make the 20, 30, whatever grand a month, what if we focus on only making, and I just made up the number. I said, what if we did the math and $5,000 a month? And Gideon was like, maybe double that. But I was like, what if $5,000 a month is the magic number to do XYZ, which is exactly what you want to do? And like, Donnie, like your one friend, when you hit that 5,000, you just stop working. And it's like, okay, I just, 4,900. Okay, 5,000. Hey kids, let's go play.
Yeah.
Let's go to the park. I don't work anymore.
So there's 2 points I want to make here. Number one, and I don't want to forget them, so let me just summary. Number one is marketing, and then marketing versus referrals, and then number two is the minimum viable revenue for a business. So in the United States, it costs a single human being, probably $30,000 to live. Right? Anything less than $30,000, and you're kind of going into debt. The problem is, or if you want, whatever you want to call it, 20,000, doesn't matter. Let's just say 30. The problem is, in order to make 30, that means you will have had to pay 10 in taxes, right? Because you got to pay about 30% or 28% or whatever in taxes. So, okay, so if you make 30 net, you literally went into debt that year to the IRS for $10,000 because you had to spend all 30 to live, right? So now you owe the government 10,000. So in other words, just to break even, you have to net 40. Well, to net 40, right, unless you're doing all the work yourself, you have to just say you have 50% margin, you have to gross 80 so that 40 can go to expenses, so that 10 can go to taxes, so that you can have 30. So in 50% margin is roughly standard, I think, in the service industry, on the web service industry. And so what bothers me, especially about all this politics and everyone saying they want to help small businesses, it's all bullshit, because the reality is, if you wanted to help me, you would say, okay, for the first 10,000 taxes you owe for the first 2 years you're in business, you don't have to pay, right? That way you can keep that money and invest it into hiring somebody and grow your business, but they don't. And so all these people who make, they're clearing 50,000 a year and think, oh, I'm doing good. No, you're not, because you owe 15,000 of that in taxes. Now you only made 35 and you're literally breaking even.
Yeah.
Right. And so at that point, what's the purpose of being an entrepreneur and working all these extra hours if you're breaking even? And so that's what bothers me, is that there's the minimum. If your business can't get to more than 40,000 net in the first year, you're going into debt. And I don't think people realize that in their mind. Like, when you start a business, it is a hustle to get sales. That's another huge mistake I made. First 3 years I was in business, I racked up, I forget the exact amount now, but it was like $55,000 in taxes owed, right? And so on the third year, I went and talked with an accountant and was like, all right, here's my numbers. I haven't done taxes in a few years. What do I need to do? He did the math and was like, yeah, you owe $55,000. And I'm sitting there with $0 in my bank thinking, wait, I owe 50? That's a whole year's worth of, what? Huh? So what I had to do on the fourth year, I hustled my ass off all year long. I didn't have any friends. I didn't buy anything new. I'm talking all year long. I busted ass and saved not only the 55,000, but I also saved an additional like 20,000 to cover that year's tax. So I literally just paid like $75,000 in back taxes.
Yeah.
Right. And that was a huge. And so that's why when Alan and Steve at Less Accounting were like, hey, do you want to go into the whole thing about offering bookkeepers for businesses? I was like, yeah, they need it. Like, I needed that. If I would have had that, yeah, I was cheap and I saved $100 a month for the first 3 years, but look what it cost me. If I would have known that way earlier on, I could have hustled harder then. And so, and then the other thing I was going to mention is, I forget it now, but that was a long tangent. But anyway, that's the thing, is like, you really need to If you're in business for yourself, referrals. Okay, so that's connected to this. This is the other huge lesson. When I talk to a business and I say, or a person who's in business for themselves, and I say, so where do you get most of your customers? If their answer is referral, it's not a business, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's not a business. Getting all your 80% of your business from referrals is not a business. You can't scale it. You can't repeat it. You can't count on it. That's not a business. That's accident, right? You're an accidental freelancer. And I'm not judging because, look, 80% of my business has come from referrals up until this year. This year, we're doing actual marketing. I'm spending $500 a month on software. I'm paying bloggers. I'm cold emailing the shit out of people politely, but I'm emailing them. I'm running ads on AdWords. I'm trying all these different stuff. I'm giving out business cards. I'm literally on my way home the other day. I was talking to my friend and complaining because I was like, yeah, man, I haven't had a new customer in like 3 weeks now. This is crazy. And he's like, well, why don't you stop at a business on the way home? I stopped at that on a literally the place I was driving by when he said that. I hit the brakes, pulled in, talked to him, went back a week later, talked to him, $1,200 a month contract.
Wow. That's like the thing that people don't realize is that you almost get in this mindset that there is you want to grow to be this $100 million company, or whatever it is you want to be, $10 million or million. There's always a million number in there, but you're like, okay, this is my goal. But then you're like, okay, when you start marketing yourself or selling it, you're like, yeah, but no one wants to buy. You're like, well, how the fuck are you going to get there? But the buyers exist everywhere. Everywhere.
And that's
inches, exactly.
That's the thing I didn't realize until this year. I thought it was all about that big. And so this is my new favorite phrase. There's no such thing as the long term. In my mind, there was always this long term of like, I'm going to get to $1 million a year. Things are going to be great. But there was never a short-term action. There was never like, well, what am I doing today, right? And so now I don't look at the long term. Now I look at the short term. I don't care if I get to $1 million. I mean, it'd be great, whatever. But what I care about is, by today, next month, I want to have 3 new customers, right? So
that's a good way to look at it.
And that's it. That's all I care about, because I did the math and I said, okay, if I get 3 new customers a month for the next 12 months. I'll have 36 new customers. I'll probably lose, say, 20%, right? So I might lose 10 customers or whatever that math is, but I'll have 25 new customers on top of the 15 that we already have, which is 40. So if I do this every month for the next year, I'll have 40 customers. And if our average revenue per customer is $1,000 a month, that's $40,000 a month. That's $500,000 a year with 1 year of work. Right. And so that's my goal now is like, okay, I need to get at least 3 customers every month. And I don't care how I get. I don't care if I got to drive. If it gets towards the end of the month and I've only got 2, I'm driving to local businesses. Right. And I'm walking in, shaking hands. If it's the beginning of the month, like right now, and I know we need 3 customers, I am mass emailing every local business in my city. Why local? Because they know people that I know.
Right.
It's an easier sell. And until I run out of them, right, I'm going for the lowest hanging fruit. And so the overall theme is this: just take the easiest next step. Don't try to do some crazy content marketing. Don't try this. Not until you've at least exhausted all options. So here's a really cool tip for you guys that I'm doing right now. And I've got a couple of business friends doing this. I need to write an article about this, but you're going to love it. I promise you, you're going to make money from this if you go do it.
Gonna write it down.
Tell me what you sell? What's the primary thing you sell?
Are you talking about product or your actual emotional pain solution?
What can you sell me right now that I can give you money for, that you don't have to do the work for? Okay, that you do the work for.
Animation.
Okay. Go to your Gmail. Go to contacts and then other contacts. Basically, other contacts is a field in your Gmail and your contacts account. Any email address that has ever BCC'd, CC'd, emailed you, even if you didn't add them to your contacts, any email address that has ever passed through your Gmail account is stored under other contacts.
There's a lot.
You can export that list into CSV. Then you can export your Twitter followers using follower wonk. Then you can export your LinkedIn friends which a lot of people don't know, but just Google it. You can export your LinkedIn for connections. You can export their email addresses. Put all of those emails into a CSV. Find your favorite email automation software. I personally like Outreach.io. I love it. If you need an account, email me, and I will put you in touch with Brian there and see if I can get you a discount. But bottom line is, and you don't even have to use an email platform, but once you have this list of all these contacts, I mean, it's going to be a couple thousand, email them and ask them literally one sentence and say, do you guys need any help with animation?
I'm going to do that.
Right? Why would you not? I mean, those are your hottest leads. They're people that know you personally, or at least know of you. They've been through your email. They're friends with you on LinkedIn, or they follow you on Twitter. Right? And if you haven't even started with that, why are you doing any other marketing? That's your lowest hanging, right? And so I have this list of like 6,000 people, and that's what I'm doing right now for marketing. I'm working through that list and saying, hey, we haven't talked in 2 years. Figured I'd check and see if you need any help with web marketing.
This is why I had him on, Mike, because this is what happens. I'll be talking to him. It's like something unrelated. He wants me to write something for him or do something, and we're talking, and like one of the most important conversations I think I've ever had in business was we were talking. I was outside of Barnes and Noble. I will remember this the rest of my life, and I was working. I was trying to get caught up on stuff because I was behind. And so I was like, I went there early, and I was just working outside before they were even open. And I'm like, I'm just gonna no distractions, get work done. He calls me up. He's like, hey, I need XYZ or whatever done. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, I can do that. Because I was like, I'm gonna, the next 3 days, I'm thinking in my head, I'm getting all this stuff done over the weekend, and I'll be able to take that on. Okay. So he's like, well, so when can you have it done? I was like, well, I could probably have it, probably do it on Sunday because I'm gonna be finishing up this other stuff today and tomorrow. Today being Friday. And he's like, no, stop. He's like, don't ever commit to doing something on the weekend. He's like, your client, if you work on the weekend, that's your own fault, but you don't tell your clients that. He's like, you never promise to have something on the weekend, so the earliest you can have it done is Monday. I was like, okay, I could have it Monday evening.
Yeah, but even then, I think I said don't ever promise next day service, right? So if it's Friday and I say, hey, can you have something done? Your answer should be yes. By Tuesday or Wednesday, I will have it done, right? If I call you and say, hey, can you have this? If it's Thursday and I say, can you have this done? You don't say, yeah, I can have it done by tomorrow. First of all, that's really unprofessional, like in the world of business, to say I can have something done tomorrow. What it means is, what you're saying is, I have nothing important going on.
Just sitting around.
I'm sitting around waiting on you. I'm willing to do this for cheap. I'll stop everything in my life to do this one thing for you, right? Plus, you've set the expectation of now, what if something, if you would have said Tuesday or Wednesday, I'd have said, okay, whatever. But to say, why are you pitching? It's because you don't. It all goes back to you don't believe that you can make sales.
Mm-hmm.
If you believed that you could make sales, or if you were actively working on it, you would say to me, yeah, let me put you in touch with my assistant and we'll get you started and get you going, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm spending if you ask me to do a blog for your website right now, I'm going to put you in touch with support@inboundable.com, and then I'm going to go make another sale.
And that was the difference in our last conversation, because this was a while back.
Your
so then the other day,
your deadline is your problem, not mine. You're the one that waited so long to ask me for help.
No,
I'm not solving I'll solve the problem of blogging, but I'm not solving the problem of you being late on deadlines.
Yeah.
You run a fucking business. You should have chosen to ask me sooner.
I love it.
and to follow up with that, so a few days ago, this call when I was like, oh, hey, we need to, get him on here. You asked me about something, and so I pitched you back. And it wasn't so much. It was the same mentality, though. It wasn't exactly time. It was more of the price thing. You kind of pushed back, like questioning why.
Yeah, and by the way, I only did that. I knew you would read it as, is he questioning my price? I wasn't questioning your price, but I worded it intentionally to make you feel
like that. Yeah.
To make you feel like I was questioning price. I was more just I guess getting confirmation, because what if you would have said, oh yeah, you're right, I'll do it for 30.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or what if I'll give you 20% off? By doing that, you end up getting a discount a lot, because when you notice there's a freelancer, you can get.
Did I lose him again?
I think he.
Well, hopefully it catches up. I'll finish my part of that story real quick. He must have a bad connection. It looks like he's at a surf shop or something. So anyways, he asked me about something, and I was busy. Like if you've seen my posts, I'm moving. I got a bunch. I got to make a bunch of cash. I got all this stuff I'm doing. And so I was like, yeah, this is what I can do it for. I was thinking that's the least I can do it for. And when he pushed back, it did sound like he was saying like, why should it cost that much? It shouldn't be that much. And I was like, look, that is what it is. That's the lowest price I can do. You know, like I actually charge more than that for other people, but I give you a discount, you know, because we're friends. That's the lowest I can do it for. And if that's too much, you're not going to offend me. If you want to go find someone who can do it for $10, that's fine. It was a little short thing he wanted written. I was like, that's perfectly fine. You know, go ahead and do it. You won't offend me. We're still friends. And he was like, great answer. He's like, go ahead and do it. You know, sign me up. Let's do it. And blah, blah, blah. And it was the difference of the, like, you know, a year or a year and a half ago, it was like, I was sitting there stressed out. I had all this work I had to get done, but I also needed more. And I was like, and I didn't know when it was going to come in. So I was like, I'll do it. I'll get it done this weekend. I'll kill myself. And now I was like, yeah, I like to make a little extra money, but if you turn it down, it's not worth it. And then I'll just go out and find someone else. There's more people out there. So learn that lesson.
I mean, giant agencies do that stuff though. Like I used to, that's what like was kind of what helped me build my structure for my company, because I was working for agencies, and the creatives versus the account department was always, I mean, that exists in every agency, because account runs in, they're like, hey, the client needs this. You're like, when? They're like, today. You're like, it's 5 o'clock. They're like, I don't care. They're like, just throw something together, you know? And you're like, asshole, you got pushed back. Like you can't just accept, you can't just say yes. So when I built my company, I tell my clients, I'm always like, look, like it takes 8 weeks to build an animation, and I give everyone 5 days because I give them breathing room, you know? Yeah. Because I was like, I don't, and I say that to them, I tell it in the sales call, I'm like, I don't stress the system. So we take that much time. I go, and plus we also have other projects we're doing along with yours. So we can't just throw you into the mix like that, you know?
Yeah, true.
What up, man?
What up? Sorry about that. Yeah, I am in a surf shop. I am,
You surfing?
Is it a client, or are you there to
Are you an IKEA? Like,
no,
IKEA.
It's a good friend of mine, sunjammers.com. He sells like kayaks and all kinds of cool stuff. And, awesome. I like hanging out up here, good music, and gets me out of the house.
Hey, so real quick, I'm going to actually post in Entrepreneurs Roundtable Facebook group, which is a free group if anyone's watching this and doesn't know who it is. I'm going to post in there that whole idea about the exporting the list and then sending an email and just saying, hey, like I want to do this. Actually, I did that last week. I was like, I'm just going to email my entire list with a personal email. So I went to my contacts and I emailed every single person in my Gmail list for the last X amount of years and just said more of a personal one. I was like, you know, this is just to catch you guys up with what I'm up to now. And I said, if you want to reply, if you don't want these emails, just reply with, hey, dude, I get enough of these. And a lot of people would send back, but then other people were like, hey, this is awesome. Keep me posted with your life. And it was like more of a personal touch.
Sure.
But I like this idea of just putting that into Mailchimp and saying like, hey, I'm just, I'm just going for it.
I wouldn't put it in Mailchimp. I would send it as
just send it out.
Yeah, because these are people you know. I mean, the effectiveness is, and honestly, if you want, I have it on my schedule to write a blog post about it. So if you want, I'll just get that done, and then you can post because I've already got a bullet point list of like instructions and screenshots. Yeah,
do that. We'll post that in the list, and we'll make it a challenge for people in the group for that day, and say like, here, do this today, and we'll see how. Like, we want responses by tomorrow, or the end of the week, of what happened with you guys. Like, literally, just do it.
But they should be personal emails. I mean, you can use something like Yet Another Mail Merge in Chrome. It's free. You can send out 100 emails at one time with it. And so, but it should be personal. I mean, the truth is, if you don't have the balls to ask people in your network, hey, will you buy from me? And not like, hey, how are you doing? Here's not. I mean, what you did is fine, but I'm saying it's different. You're not trying to connect and make friends. You're trying to make a sale, right? And if these are for the people that are like, all my business comes from referrals. Well, how many people have you asked to buy from you, right? Probably none, right? And so if you just email all the people in your network and say, hey, do you want to buy from me? Maybe you get.
And that's the thing too. It's like if you have a couple thousand emails, and if you get like one, what is one client? What does that make you?
Well, not only that, but
it's like pretty good money.
Not only that, but now you've branded the other 1,999 people and let them know, right? So 2 or 3 months from now, when they need something, they might reach out to you and be like, oh yeah, I forgot. Don't you have such and such?
Hey man, we had a question by CK Darby, and he said, "What do you sell?" And I just gave him your your website, and I said marketing and content creation, but I'm kind of answering for you, so I figured I'd just let you just real quick say to him, like, this is what I do.
Yeah, I don't know how to use this platform, so I guess I click new message.
On the bottom left, you can actually just start typing.
Yeah, so...
And for anyone to see it, you have to be logged in to see his response in the comments.
And you have to follow us.
And you have to follow us.
all I'm saying is go to Inboundable. So this is another thing. I found myself giving these long pitches verbally and explaining everything we do, and it's pointless. I have a website. You go to that website. It's laid out very, very specifically.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, there's an icon for every service we have. So if you want to know what we do, go to inboundable.com and just like literally look for 2 seconds, and you'll see like, oh, this is all the stuff they do.
Hey, real quick, man, you have Rails Dog on there, and I think I've talked to you about this before. I actually know the owner of Rails Dog.
Yeah, but with the old one or the new one?
The new one, Tim.
Yeah, I know Tim.
Yeah,
Tim's a great guy.
Tim's awesome. His office was right across the street from mine.
Oh, cool.
In Morristown. Yeah, so we used to go out and get like drinks all the time, and like we'd show up at a bar and just get like hammered together.
The stories you've heard, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, dude, Tim's awesome, man.
Yeah.
He's like literally, his office was like next to the bar. Like he just planned it perfectly.
Cool. Yeah. I was about to say, I'm sure that was intentional with Tim.
We're more than halfway through it, so there's 2 specific questions I do want to make sure I get asked.
Right.
One of them is, Donnie, the kind of advice you're giving is, like you said, you're like, oh, I just want to say that, I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm not like some, professional genius. And that's one of the things that is so great about your stuff is because it's real. It's not like, hey, I've read a bunch of articles on this and I've studied it, so now I feel like I know this and I did it once or twice and I think it works.
Yeah.
It's stuff that you were like, no, I know this because I got hit in the head like 10 times and I finally decided to put a helmet on. And now I tell everyone put a helmet on.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you got a lot of your advice from the Less Accounting guys. Mm-hmm. And they are great guys. Like I know you mutual connection, ended up connecting with them a little bit too. So first off, that's an awesome connection to have because those guys are, amazing. And for you to have them like mentors, how did that kind of come about? And what would be your advice for like someone who's like, I have been doing this for 3 years and I am making all the mistakes. How can I make a connection to have someone to drop those, nuggets of wisdom on me? I
forget where I read this. So this is not my statement, but if you can't sell someone on being your mentor, you will never be able to build a business. Right. And so I didn't meet them like it was not an accident. It was, I started a local, it's because I did things. Right. And so, if you're not doing things, if you're just, first of all, let me just say, I stopped reading all blog posts. I don't read shit. I read nothing. In fact, if something I want to read is that important, and I'm like, oh, like a personal friend sends it to me and says, Donnie, this is really applicable to you. You should read it. This is super lazy. I will send it to my assistant and ask her to email me back bullet point summaries.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, it costs me almost nothing, and it teaches, and my assistant gets to learn, and it saves me a lot of time. Right. And so, but anyway, that's just because I was reading so much that I had a library of 200 books in my office. My Audible account has at least 500 books in it. Like I just went overboard, and so I had to stop cold turkey. But anyway, so I created a local webmaster group in my county and started inviting every webmaster to come to these monthly meetings. And
smart.
Just so happened that Alan Branch, well, it didn't just so happen, I saw the most successful guy that was attending these events was named Alan Branch, and he had this company called Less Accounting. And so naturally I was like, all right, he's the most successful person. I need to make sure that I go out of my way to try to make friends with him, because he's going places and doing things, and I want to go places and do things. Right. And so you tend to it's not a manipulation thing. It's you tend to gravitate towards those people who are doing things that you want to do. Yeah. So I started hanging out with him more and more and asking him questions, and that just turned into a good friendship. And then one day he was like, hey, I'm going to go to some conferences. You should come with me. And so I literally for like a year, I just road tripped and went to 5 or 6 different conferences with him and got to know him real well. And so that's how that happened. And so the way you would duplicate that, of course, is get out into the real world and do things, or join these Facebook groups and contribute, you know what I mean? And look for people that are doing what you want to do and message them and say, hey, I love what you're doing. You're kicking ass. Here's an idea for you. I have a question. Do you mind giving me an idea? And just that's it. That's all it is.
That's pretty cool.
So it's not, you know, and don't get me wrong, like they've given me advice and stuff, but they've even referred some clients to me, but by no means have they said like, oh, we see that you're trying, so here we're going to hand you something on a silver platter. Like that's not, no one's going to hand you anything, right? You're not going to hand it to anybody. So
I feel like Blab's a great way to do that, just to start a Blab and say, like, and then put something out there that would fish for the people that you want to get to talk to, you know? I was actually thinking of doing this. I talked to Jared about this. Just put it on Blab and saying, like, anyone out there want to discuss Think and Grow Rich? Because it would just it would be like a magnet to the people I want to talk to, and just sit on this and talk to them and like do that. So like by creating groups, I totally agree. I think people should take advantage of meetup.com.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
that's what we use. Yeah, that's what I used. Yeah.
Like I'm big into CrossFit and just, you know, obviously entrepreneurship. So when I was in Morristown, I started 2 groups, and and I'm single. So I was like, I want to meet successful women. I also want to meet women in CrossFit. So I started CrossFit Singles and started
nice
another one for like successful singles or something like that.
Nice.
And would do these meetups when people would show up who were in exactly the demographic who I'd want to meet.
Yep.
You know? And I would sit there and I would connect them, because then like if I'm running, if it's like if I have a party, I rock it. Like if I have like a party at my house, I am like the best host. I'll like make sure everyone's got their drinks. I'll like connect people. I'm like, hey, you're not talking. You should come here, talk to this person. Like make sure people are just like super comfortable.
Yeah.
So in those settings, I think if you do something like that, you should just fucking own it and go around and connect people, because they're going to remember you as this big power player, and they're going to be like, holy shit. And they're going to put you on this level of like, wow, that's the person to go to.
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And I would say, like, if you do have a mentor, and you don't have to have like a physical person, like it could be a book or whatever. I've read Robert Kiyosaki stuff ad nauseum, but it's little things like, for example, a big piece of advice that I was given was, because what I kept screaming was, how come every one of my friends are successful business owners and I'm not?
Yeah.
I show up every day. I try hard. I'm doing this thing. What is the difference? I'm friends. Obviously, I have the same mental capacity because I'm friends with these guys. So I would ask them, all of my business friends, I would say, why are you successful and have a business that runs without you and I don't? What's the difference between me and you? And like in the case of the less accounting guys, they would say, Alan specifically kept knocking in my brain, like, dude, just take next steps. You're trying to solve long-term problems and you're ignoring the short-term. Just take next steps. And honest to God, it didn't click in my head for a year. I heard that and was like, yeah, those words sound good, but like, what does that actually mean? Like, okay, what are the next steps? Now I get it. Now I can translate that for you now, because it took me a year to like, of hearing that over and over again to finally understand it in practice. And what it means in practice is I need to make sales today, right? I need to grow my business. Okay, well, what are my next steps? Well, I could create ads. I could start blogging. I could read some articles. Fuck, I could just email the people already in my Gmail contacts.
Yeah.
That's the next step. Okay, let me do that today.
Yeah.
Let me not compile the list. Let me not look for some fancy software. Let me not read articles about it. No. Let me just fucking email the people, right?
Yeah.
Get that done. And that's your next step. And don't worry about what comes after that. You're not there yet. When that happens, when you run out of that email list, then you ask the question again. All right, what is my next step today? Oh, I can run custom audience Facebook ads to that email list.
Yeah. Or to be like, how did I build that email list to begin with? What did I do to do that? Let me go backwards and do that. And like, it's like, let's just keep going backwards from that. And
it's like literally
right there. Yeah.
It's literally just take the next inch step.
I mean, if you take it to that level though, man, I mean, you could literally just say like, all right, I've got, like you said you had a couple thousand. How many people were on your personal list?
It depends how you segment them, but it's like 4,000 to 6,000.
So let's say you had 6,000 emails and you need to, you do the math, you're like, if I sell the 10 of them, if that's all I need to do, like depending on your business, let's say you have a high ticket item.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, let me learn this list. Why are they friends with me? Where did I connect with them? Which of them actually will like my product, and who else in the list looks like them? How do I do the same thing with them? Like, but just start doing it, just like you said, just email and say, hey, does anyone want this? And then do it again in a couple weeks, be like, all right, no one answered, so I'm going to ask again, like, who wants this? And they'll stop like unsubscribing and things like that. They'll say like, hey, delete me. You're like, okay, you obviously aren't someone I need to talk to.
Yeah, because let's say you have a list of 6,000 people, or let's say you have a list of just say you have a list of 4,000 people, right? Literally, 10% of that is 40. All you really have to do to quote be successful. Let's say you sell a product that is, let's say you sell a product that's or a service. Like let's say you do email newsletters, $100.
Johnny, real quick, man, you just cut out on screen. You there?
You scared him off.
Just when he's giving like some real meaty info, he like cuts out.
we need to start going. Okay, you're here. We've started. Can you just tell us all the really good stuff you're going to tell us at the end now, and we can just like tell stories for the rest of it.
Actually, that's like our whole plot is just to get you guys to like really hooked. It's like tune in next week or whatever to watch the stunning conclusion of Donnie's info.
He just has to reload. Whatever the problem is there after so long, it's cutting him off, and he has to just hit refresh, and he jumps right back in.
Yeah, I've actually been to some coffee places where it'll kick me off after about 30 minutes, and it was such a pain.
Buy more coffee, man.
Even if I was buying coffee the whole time, it would still keep kicking me off. I was like, what the fuck?
Really quick, while we're waiting for him, I'm going to plug our next week's episode because I'm actually super excited about it. Like, I'm super pumped, and it's actually about us, kind of. The topic is going to be entrepreneurs versus artists. And this comes out of a combination of a lot of Gary Vee I've been listening to. And I started talking to Mike about it. And we've apparently been soul searching kind of on some of the same issues. Soul searching is kind of not the coolest word, but
I think soul searching fits very well with that.
Pretty well. Yeah. Just looking at who we are and what we're doing and where we want to go in life and what we actually, not just our big ideas, but also how do we want to give back? What do we want to be doing on a day-to-day basis? You know, if we are going to be working on, what are we physically doing? So all that, we're going to be talking about that next week. And then also we have a cool little thing at the end. So tune in next week. But until then, let's get back to Donnie and what he was saying.
Yeah, so everything you were saying, repeat it.
Yeah, real easy. Like, success can be real easy. Like, if you're, just say you're selling newsletters, email newsletters as a service. All right, it's $100 a month revenue. Your margin is 50, so you get 50 profit. Out of that, 15 is going to go to taxes, right? So you have $30 net profit per customer. If you get 100 customers, you're now making $3,000 a month and not doing any work except for sales, right? All you're doing is sales. And so to get to your 100 customers, you could probably pound the shit out of your email list and your local business area and get 100 customers. It might take you a year, but that's the nature of the, like, you're not going to be successful overnight. But if you get there in a year, okay, now you're making $3,000 a month net profit. All you're doing is sales. You do one more year, now you're making $6,000. One more year, now you're making $9,000. Third year in, you're making $100,000 a year. Well, now you can go hire a salesperson for $50,000 a year, right? Fourth year, your revenue is growing and you're not even working, right? That's what success looks like. That's, at least from my point of view and business owners I know and what I've been learning and from my worldview, that's what success looks like, is 3, 4, 5 years from now, if you have that kind of trajectory and that kind of plan. But it all starts with today. I don't need 100 customers today. I need one. I need one effing customer today. How can I get that done? And if you just keep asking yourself that question every day, how can I get another customer? You're going to wake up and have 100 customers and be like, oh shit. So I have a business and and it's not based on referrals. It's totally repeatable and scalable. In fact, if I could go to the bank and get a loan for $20,000 and dump it in ads and probably get to 200 customers real easily, right? Yeah. That's a business you can take to Shark Tank. That's why Mark Cuban likes hustlers, because the person that's hustling knows how to get things done and can actually grow. But what I feel like most freelancers do is they get 1 or 2 or 3 big customers and then they stop and they say like, oh, I'm just busy doing all this work. I can't do any sales. So I'm just going to sit here and I get all my work from referrals, which means we do really good work, which means we need to keep doing really good work, which means I need to do everything myself.
I think the referral
right there and say, let's say the people watching are in that position, because I know some in our group are. Some are
most
not there yet. Some are past it. If we're in that position, because and we're saying we're doing well in terms of getting money.
Freelance trap.
Freelance. Actually, did you read the thing I've tagged in this morning? That's how I introduced you, is about how you help other entrepreneurs, how you get out of the freelance trap.
I did not.
said that exactly.
I did not.
And start a business. So apparently I knew what I was talking about on accident.
You did,
when I introduced you. So let's say that, let's just go for the last, however long we have, we decide to go home or whatever.
We're going to go home.
We're both home. He's not. Whatever. I'm going to go home.
So you're in the middle of working all day on these 3 customers, trying to do amazing work for them so that you get more referrals.
How do we go from that to what you're talking about? So if we're sitting there going, we're always busy working. We're barely, get enough business.
The answer is so simple. I don't want to tell you. I'm going to tell you, but I don't want to, because it's so simple that anybody listening is going to be like, yeah, whatever, dude, whatever. Right. But the reality is, it goes back to just take next step. Right.
Next step.
So the next step isn't you alleviating all that work. The next step is you alleviating 5% of that work. Right. So maybe it's email communication. Maybe you go hire an assistant to start dealing with the emails, which, oh my God, I can't do that. Everyone says, like, no, they don't know the relationship. Yeah, you're right. That's why you set up a support at email address, use it yourself for a couple of weeks, hire somebody, pay them to spend the first day reading all your old emails so that they do know how to communicate. Right. Or your next step might be, okay, these animations that I'm doing, like, yes, I do them better than anybody I think I can hire, but
I actually do hire. I actually run like
Mike is really good.
Yeah.
But that came from the frustration of doing it myself, where I had to build it first.
Yeah.
And then I wrote the process out, and I put someone in the seat. And I was like, all right, follow this.
That's exactly what you should do. And here's my biggest tip. So if you're in that spot, here's how you get out. Here's how I did it. Work your ass off and save up money. When you get some money saved, whatever makes you comfortable, I don't know if that's $2,000 or $20,000, whatever the number is, just accept the fact that you're going to work your ass off for now. You're not going to make any progress building your business. You're just saving cash. Once you get that cash saved, then you go and instead of hiring a low-level person to make your margin good, go hire somebody better than you, right? And have them do the work, even if you're breaking even, right? Because if let's say you hire me to do animations for $1,000 this month, and I go hire somebody that cost me $800 to do it, I'm going to lose money on that, because $200 profit means I'm going to spend that $200 on fixed cost and other kinds of shit. I'm going to lose money, but I'm going to free up the next 30 days of my life. I know for sure the project is going to come out really well, and now I have 30 days that I can go get another $1,000 a month client.
Yep.
Right. So in the beginning, hire people that are as good or close to as good, or, hire skilled people at a premium, pay them to do good work. Once you get once you start getting 2 and 3 sales in, then you can go back to that guy and say, look, you're doing great. Unfortunately, I found somebody else a lot cheaper and our margins aren't high enough to keep you. Sorry, that's fucking business. You should be doing sales anyway, so that you're not in the freelance trap too, right?
Yeah.
And so then you go hire somebody cheaper, and then you say either A, you can promote that guy, which is what I try to do, because I try to be loyal to the people. Like, I try to promote them and say, like, okay, you're going to project manage from now on.
Yeah.
And we're going to hire somebody lower to whatever. And so, but long story short is, you then have somebody that has done the work. Perfect example is social media, right? So you hire somebody good for posting on social media. Then when you go to hire somebody cheaper, there's already all this work that's been done. So when you hire somebody cheaper, you can say, look, take a look back at these accounts that have been managed for the last couple of months. I want you to do this quality stuff. Here's your examples. Here's what needs to be done. And now you have examples to show them, and you don't have to micromanage the lower paid person so much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and it helps also to hire people who don't do it hourly. So you do it as a fixed rate and say, like, this is your project cost, and this is your monthly cost, or this is your project cost, and you go above this. Like, I do that with mine. So I say to my animator, I have a designer, animator, copywriter, and like voiceover and audio guy. So when I do a project, I tell them, I say, like, all right, so each round, like, and I break it up where there's like the script process and design process. Say we're in the design process, and we do the initial design, then we do the storyboard part of it. the initial design, I tell the client you have 2 rounds max, and after that, then we start charging you per hour. So I also let the freelancer know that too. I'm like, design this. There's it's built in with 2 rounds of changes per this, but after that, then I will pay you. But I also pad it on my end where when we are doing the changes, I'm taking my cut and they're taking theirs, so I'm still making a profit on it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I think that's the hardest. I think that's the hardest thing for people to wrap their mind around, because it's the chicken or the egg. I can't hire somebody until I make sales. I can't make sales till I hire somebody. Well, actually, what you should do is not hire anybody right now. Save your money, then go hire somebody skilled to do animation or whatever. Then back off and hire somebody cheaper and show them what the skilled person did and say, hey, I know that you might not be able to do it as good as this, but I need you to do it pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a fine line there, because I've seen companies where they'll stick with that model and they'll have the people who are lesser quality do shit, and I'll see and they'll pay them less, and then I'll have like someone else who I know who they pay more and their quality is awesome. Yeah. These guys, and I've seen through the years, like it actually started going like this, where the lesser client, like the lesser paid people and the product was less, it started biting them in the ass. But
sure, no, that could happen.
What you're saying,
but no, you're right. But it matters who you're selling to, right? But the strategy, the reason I'm saying that strategy is, if you hire somebody more skilled and that costs more, at least in the beginning, you're creating example. You're creating a guide for lower end people to be able to follow. And you're not having to spend.
They raise up because of that example, and they know what to do now. And
because if you need to create that margin, so I'm just saying. So what in your example where you were talking about hiring expensive people versus low people, what I'm saying is in the beginning hire somebody way expensive and then back down to those really good people. Or you see what I'm saying? So regardless of where your scale is, hire somebody more than you can afford. That way you set the quality examples high, so everyone
and let them build out how you do it and have the system based off their experience. And then the guy who's good enough can come in and raise his quality level because he now sees exactly how to do it, and he can match that. He couldn't have made it.
Because what that does is that prevents you from having to like, no, I need it this way, or no, I need it that way, or oh my God, this sucks, and oh, I should have never hired anybody, right? It scratches all that out of the complete game. Costs you a little bit of money, but that's why I said, but that's why I said save before you take that leap.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you plus
so there you go. There's the answer on a silver platter. Like I said, I don't want to give it out because I feel like it sounds easy and people are gonna be like,
See, here's the thing though, man. You could
do it though.
It's like, here's the thing. If someone came up to me, they're overweight, and they say, "How do I lose weight?" I go, "Eat this way." They go, "It's not that easy." I go, "That is that easy." However, you have to eat. I go, "However, you have to eat that way.
You have to do it. Yeah.
You have to do it." You could tell anyone to do one thing, and they're like, "It can't be that easy." You're like, no, the method behind it's easy, but you actually have to fucking do it.
Yeah,
and that's where everyone will be like, that's where like 90% of people will fail because they won't actually put the effort into it. And everyone wants this like magic pill that they swallow, and they're like, oh, that's how you become successful. And it's like, no, man, you got to grind.
Yeah. Basically, you have to take next step measured in inches every day.
Yes.
That's how you become successful. And I think, like, fun fact about me, I lost 30 pounds on the slow carb diet last year.
Okay.
And I didn't think it was going to work. I was in that boat that you're saying. Everyone kept saying, do this, do that. And it didn't, nothing started working until I actually went out and did it.
Right.
And I forced myself to like not have any sugar in the house at all. And so when I got hungry, I just ate lean protein and then I'd go walk. Well, I didn't even exercise. I lost 30 pounds with zero. All I did was walk for about 15 minutes a day.
Yeah, dude.
And I ate the slow carb diet. I did that for like 3 months and lost 30 fucking pounds. And,
well, it's 90%. It's 90% diet, man. I mean, but that's the thing. That's like you say to someone, no sugar. And they're like, that's it. You're like, that's it. But then you have to say, all right, well, I can't have it in the house. I can't have it when I go out. I can't have it in my coffee anymore. I can't have muffins. So it's like that one little thing. It spreads and it's a bigger picture.
Well, that's why I tell people when people say like, "Oh, how'd you lose so much weight?" I don't even mention the slow carb diet. I just tell them cut out sugar. Like read everything you eat because that's going to filter through so much in their life.
Oh yeah.
I mean that cuts out 80% or probably 95% of all the foods you eat on a regular basis. You can't eat. Right. Yeah. My rule of thumb is if it has more than 5 grams of sugar, I don't eat it. because at this point I've already lost my weight. I feel like I've earned it, and if it has 2, 3, 4, 5 grams of sugar.
My rule is if it has a label on it, I don't buy it. So it like breaks it down even more. Did he freeze up? Shit. Let's give him some feels.
So
let's
really
come back in, and then it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, while he's reloading, he talked about how he almost didn't want to say it because it was so easy. But the thing is, people aren't going to do it. And the thing is, I would watch podcasts and I go, oh, that's great, I'm going to do that. And then I didn't. And then 3 months would go by. I was like, oh, remember how much money I was going to have had by now from doing that? And I didn't do it. And I'm noticing, now that I'm a host, we're guest hosting this, I'm better at doing this, but there's still things I let drop. And that one, because I'm literally I have one little thing I have to do after this, and then the rest of my day is just I'm going to go out and try to generate some profit, some traffic.
Yeah.
And that was so pivotal because I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to get in the mindset. I actually wrote it on my arm, so like, you can't really see it.
I see it. Yeah.
I wrote it on my arm. That's why I was reaching for it. I was grabbing a Sharpie and I just put take next steps because I'm literally just when I'm looking down, I start to get distracted or man, I can't do this. I should have had 3 months ago. I should have set up a marketing strategy. I'm just gonna be like, no, just take the next step. Email the people, and then well, then what am I gonna do? Well, have you done that yet? What Donnie said? No. Well, then shut up and do it. And if I say yes, then it's like, okay, now I can figure out the next thing to do because I just did that. Now let me think of what else I can do right now. Yeah,
dude. Actually, it was when he was talking about successful people and like surrounding yourself with successful people. I'm very visual. I just want to see what do they talk like this? Like, like we'll talk like this, like, oh, we want to strategize, we want to do all this stuff. Like, do they do the same thing, but they have like this cushion of like income coming in? We're like, I can breathe a little better because I know that by the end of the month, I'm not going to be broke, or the end of the next 5 years, I'm pretty much good. Is that how they see life? Or is it like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's like successful people sit there and they're like, yeah, all right, well, I don't have to worry. Whether it's like, of course they have to worry, but is it as intense, I guess is the question, as what we have to worry about?
I think yes. And the reason why I say yes is imagine your business. How good would you feel if you had a business that made $500,000 and you have $500,000 after taxes in your bank right now?
I feel amazing.
Yeah, you'd be like, hell yeah, I'm the man. Like, your family would be proud. Your friends would look up to you. People would be asking you to do interviews. You might even make it on the local news, right? Imagine the pressure if the day came you were like, oh my God, I might lose all that.
So what's the point of getting successful then?
But my point is like you're going to be shit nervous of like, if I lose all this, I'm a complete failure. Like, no one can become successful and then loses it all. Right, and that's why people were jumping out of jumping out of buildings and shit when the stock market goes down. So, but anyway, I agree with you. Like, oh, what's that? And that goes back to the first thing I mentioned, which is I have this friend. I call it poor friend. He's not really poor, but
he must love that. You're like, hi, poor friend. He's like, stop calling me that, Johnny.
A lifestyle designer. He's designed his own lifestyle the way he wants.
That's a much better way. And I call him more successful than me because he doesn't stress. He doesn't worry about all this stuff. Whereas here I am on the grind every day, and he's not, and so I'm jealous.
Yeah, man. I've started to realize that lately because I'm like traveling all around the country, and
awesome.
You don't need a lot of money, and I'm starting to get away from the mindset of what I needed when I lived in New Jersey, which was a shit ton of money just to survive.
Yeah.
And here it's basically rent and food. That's it. And
Where
gas.
Where are you living?
Right now I'm in Portland.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, I'm jealous of you. I want to do more traveling. That's something in the next year or two that I very much want to try to do. Kind of what you're doing is just go to different places and travel. And I'm nervous. I'm scared. But if you interview me 2 years from now about travel, and I will laugh at this video because
do you own?
I'll be a pro. What?
Do you own anything or do you rent?
No. Yeah, I have a house.
Okay.
But I'll rent it. I'd like to be in the real estate market anyway. I'd like to own rental homes. So,
you know what you should do? I was thinking about this for people. They always keep saying that. I know it's kind of breaking off topic, but whatever. They are like, I just wanted to
reminder. So
what's up?
You can stall while I set this calendar reminder for 2 years from now. So,
so like for people, it's like just like the business thing. You're saying you got to take that step. So if you want to travel, just pick 1 or 2 weekends a month and go somewhere. Just drive somewhere close by. Or I read this. this book I'm reading is called Happiness to Pursue. It's by Chris Gilbo, who did, I think it's how you say his name, who did $100 Startup. And he just interviews people who have just happy lives. And this one woman was like, I want to travel the world and cook with different people, but I can't afford to do that. So what I'm going to do is every week I'm going to cook. I'm going to start with A and go to Z and cook every country's food that week.
Wow.
And she did it for like a couple of years or something like that. But every week she'd have to learn it. But she'd start with A and then she'd go to B, but you do every country in A and every country B. But she did it from her house. And then it just blew up and, you know, people started asking her stuff and her husband started promoting it. But it was just an idea. So she's like, if I can't travel, I'm bringing it to me.
That's awesome. Good for her.
So it's like, it's just like everything we're talking about is if you really want something that bad, sometimes you have to get creative with it. For me, I just sold everything and just I got in my car and just started driving around the country. You know, it was like,
wow, dude, those are brass balls, man. I respect that.
But it's like, I still live a structured life. Like, even though I'm in Portland, I'm gone for almost 7 months now. And I'm going to be traveling back to Jersey just to see some friends. So in like a month, I'm going back there, but then I'm going to go back out again. But like, it becomes very normal. So what I see as everywhere else where I always want to get to, once you're there, it just becomes normal. Right. People are so scared of it because they don't know what it is now. It's like you're saying, emailing people and just ask for the sale. They're scared of it because they haven't done it. But once they do it and they get like maybe one response back, like you walk into that store and getting that response, you're like, oh, I could do this again. And you know that it works, so you just keep doing it. But then you also craft it a bit more and make it more yours. But you know, people just like comfort, and that's why they're scared because it goes out of their comfort zone. But once they do it, it becomes comfortable.
Yeah, and that's one thing I learned. A huge epiphany for me was this is embarrassing to admit, but a friend of mine was like, so why haven't you done any sales today? And just this was like a year ago. And I was like, well, because blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay, but why? Blah, 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 but why? Blah, 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 but why? Right? And eventually got to, well, if I don't try today, then I can't fail today. And I can go to bed one more night knowing that one day I'm going to be successful. Right? Yep. And so, but if I try and I fail, then I have to go to bed knowing that I am not as marvelous as I thought I could be. Right?
That's a great point, dude.
That's what it was. And so it still scares me of like, you know, next thing I'd like to speak at some conferences or whatever. And like, I see a guy like Brian Castle posting all kinds of amazing stuff about business advice. It was so similar to what I'm doing that I actually reached out to him and was like, hey, did you read my like shitty thrown together PDF and like, you know, copy it or whatever? Because there's a lot of the same stuff that I had in my head, but you're executing it way better than me. And I get jealous of that kind of stuff because I'm like, I want to be known as that guy. And but the reality is I don't. The reality is I want to be known as the guy that provides web marketing services because that's the business I'm in, and I need to do sales for that. And if I were to go down this tangent of trying to build a Brian Castle brand, that to me is just more procrastination of what I need to do, which is selling inboundable services and selling bookkeepers for less accounting now. And so, you know, everything else is just procrastination until I get to my magic number, which is 100 customers. When I get to 100 customers for inboundable and it's more for less accounting, then when I get to that, then I can allow myself, okay, well, now if I want to do something else or whatever, okay, sure. But
think of like when you're there though, when you're there compared to where you're here is you're going to learn so much more. You're going to have achieved so much more. You're going to have more that if you actually do get that chance to talk, you're going to have more to talk about.
But here's a crucial point. You're learning by doing, not learning by reading, learning by doing. So the learning is an accident. I don't even like calling it learning anymore, although that's what it is, because the learning is a byproduct of doing. And so I like to try to say like, oh, well, you will have more experiences. You will have done more things. And that's true. That's totally true. But I think that's the biggest thing that held me back was every night I would say like, oh, well, the day's ending and I haven't done anything, but hey, it'll work out. I believe in myself.
Yeah.
And I just had to accept the fact like, maybe it won't work out. I need to fucking try. Yeah. I need to know for sure but the beautiful thing is the moment you start doing it, you will fail and you start making mistakes and screwing things up. But then you start also realizing like, oh, that doesn't mean I'm a failure. That just means that thing was a failure. Like I can totally do something different. I'm smart.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's the beauty. That's the beauty.
Yeah.
We need to wrap up here. We're in a few minutes, but one final question I want to end on. So you talked about in the beginning, you said that you don't consider yourself a success because you're working like 70, plus hours a week. You define your success as working less hours and being able to make money and have your life. So a question is kind of double-sided. One, what do you do now on a daily basis that takes up your 70 plus hours? And then what will that look like when you're successful in your mind and you're only working the amount of hours you feel you should be working?
Sure. So what was the second part of that question?
So what are you doing now on a daily basis, and what will you be doing on a daily basis once you consider yourself successful? What will your day look like?
Yeah, so currently what I'm doing is training a project manager, which that doesn't require much time anymore. Doing sales, trying different sales tactics. And again, Inboundable has 8 services. So what I have been doing, I'm not doing so much now, but what I have been doing recently is putting in place the different employees for each one of those services, right?
Okay.
And so that took a lot because you have to do the service while you're training somebody else. So you're doing these 8 different things, training people on top of it, and project managing those people. But now it's to the point where I have a different employee for each one of our services, and I have a project manager, and I have an assistant. So all of it's kind of going really well. So I spend my time doing like sales and marketing activities.
Okay.
Running ads or whatever it may be, or stopping at a local business or cold calling a business or whatever I can freaking think of. The question I try to answer is, what can I do right now that has the biggest chance of getting me a customer? Okay, I'm going to go do that.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, I even have, side note, I have this old phone because when I'm not on a computer, I don't want to be trying to manage things and do things. I want to be out talking to people and selling and being in the real world.
Wow.
And then what will I be doing differently? I don't know. I use work as a crutch. I always have since I was like 16. So that's going to be a new skill for me. I'm going to have to learn how to not work. I'm going to have to learn how to fill my time with kayaking or, meeting people, maybe going to conferences. I don't know what the answer to that is, but it's going to be a personal battle for me to, it's going to be, it is. I'm active. Like now, one of the things I do at 4 or 5 p.m., I'll go to a park and work out for 2 hours and do pull-ups and sit-ups and runs and push-ups. And that gets me out of the house and out of the computer. But I need more, right? I play pool Monday nights. I'm getting pretty good at billiards. I'm trying to fill it up with things like that. And so that's it, really. But like I said, I use work as a crutch. So
you're like the opposite of most people. Most people spend their time in hobbies and they're trying to like get unlazy and hustle. And you're like, no, I need to have more balance. I need to have more of a social life. I work too much. Yeah,
it's sad. It's not anything admirable. If you ask any of my friends, they'll say it's really sad. Donnie's wasting his life just working on shit that doesn't even need to be done.
But you need to, it's good you're taking the steps because you need to have that vision of your 5 years or what money you want to make or size of your company, but you also need to know personally what you want to be doing because there's a reason for this.
Yeah, and I'm at the point now where the money, I have a plan, I'm executing it, I'm seeing progress, so the worry has kind of gone. Now I know that we're going to get there, or I'm going to get there. Now it's just a question of, in reality, my lifestyle is not going to change if I make $100,000 a year versus $500,000 a year. My lifestyle is going to be roughly the same. The only difference is I'm going to have more of a retirement fund, right? And so, and I might have nicer things, but I'll still have shoes. They just might be nicer shoes. I'll still have a car. It just might be a nicer car. And so my lifestyle, my day-to-day living is going to be the same regardless if I make $100,000 a year or $500,000 a year. So the biggest worry on my mind isn't how am I going to get from 100 to 500. I know that I'm going to get there. I have a plan. I'm executing it. Instead, my biggest worry, my biggest unknown is what does that lifestyle look like? Regardless if it's 105 or what's that lifestyle? What am I filling those hours with? That's what's most important to me right now is that's what I'm trying to learn. And I hope a year or two from now I have that figured out. But currently I do not.
We can follow up with you because I sent that invite. You both should have gotten that for September 5th, 2017. So that also puts us on the hook, Mike, to still be around doing this in 2 years.
I'm fine with that. I got nothing else to do.
That's why I'm curious. Let me ask you a question, Mike. With traveling, do you think if I were to travel more, do you think it'll help solve my problem? I don't think it'll solve it completely, but do you think it will help solve my problem of needing to fill my time with living? Or do you think not really?
You see the world. You're more alive when you travel. I've been. I mean, I don't know everyone else, but for me, every little thing I do, I appreciate. So, like you said, go and sit at a park. The parks that I'll sit at will be someplace in Portland or in Austin, Texas, or I know he just dropped off. I'll have to wait for the answer, but yeah, man, I'll have to repeat it when he gets back in, but yeah, you just feel more alive when you travel. Just everything makes sense. Is he still there?
Yeah, he can still hear. We just can't see him.
Yeah, Donnie, man, everything you just like if you're in a park working out, it's a new park in a new state, in a new city, and you kind of appreciate that. And so yeah, you do get there. It's awesome. That's all I can say. It's absolutely awesome. Like I think about this, and I'm in like this house that I'm in right now is this little small house. It's like this is the kitchen over there. I think the way I'm positioned is I'm on the top right of the screen when I look at this.
You are for me too, but okay. I think it's different when we watch the replay.
My bedroom's over there. There's another bedroom. It's a small little house. There's a garden in the front that they have. They're growing these giant weed plants in the back. It's fucking amazing, which is legal, which is like totally legal here. And I like get to go out the door, and I'm in Portland, and I get to go and sit at this awesome coffee place or one of the 50,000 that they have, and there's this view up across the bridge, and the bridge takes me seconds to get over to get to the city. I mean, it's unbelievable. And
if you want to see everything he just said, go join Entrepreneurs Roundtable, search it on Facebook, join. And he actually posted like a tour of it there, a little video of his place, so you can really see it.
Yeah, you can see it. It's just cool. It's this little house, but it's like this is my home for the next 4 weeks, and I don't have to worry about mortgage. And I paid like $850 for the month. And then after this, I get to drive across the country, which I usually thought would be awful, but I love it because it's the time to think about it. And it's great. Wow, you morphed into a car.
Yeah. I'm going to go grab some lunch.
You better not start driving it. Our audience does not like that very much.
Yeah, they hate that.
Don't podcast and drive. Don't pod and drive.
Yeah.
Actually,
there's a whole scope movement going on where they're trying to get it to where if you get onto a scope and someone's driving, they instantly get out. Like they just are trying to get it to where you refuse to watch someone live streaming while driving.
That's pretty badass.
Shit,
so.
I should.
But then I'm wondering, what about the guy who like has it set up on a mount and has like a passenger who like set it all up for him, and he's literally just driving and talking. You know.
Well, that's what I was thinking of doing. I was thinking of getting a mount for my car, so when I'm driving across country or whatever, I could just turn it on, but be focused on the road and not like.
You're like, hey guys, leave me alone. I'm not touching it, hands free. I'm only driving. I just happen to be talking. If I'm not talking, I'm singing in the radio. Same thing.
I don't
get it figured out.
I don't Periscope.
Yeah.
At all.
Sarah Moore will hate Donnie.
I probably should.
Real quick, we need to wrap this up. Donnie,
I gotta go.
You want to plug yourself at all? I mean, it may be as simple as just go to inboundable.com. But
buy from me. Support your local entrepreneur and give me your money. We will do amazing work, and you'll love it. You know what I love is this is what I love about running a business versus being a freelancer is, and I read something about McDonald's. You don't go to McDonald's because they have the best burgers. You don't go to McDonald's because they have the cheapest burgers, right? None of those are true. You go to McDonald's because you know what to expect. Yep. Every single time you go, you will get the exact same result. It's reliable.
Your order messed up. You're right. I know exactly what to expect.
Right, but it's the same. It's the same thing with Inboundable minus the messed up cheeseburgers, right? When you order something with Inboundable, is the same. We're not the cheapest. We're not the most expensive either. We're not the best. We're not the shittiest either. But we will get the job done exactly as prescribed every single time. It'll be the exact same experience time after time after time. And that's and I think that's the way you should build your business, and that's certainly the way I'm building mine.
I like it. And it sounds like you read the E-Myth.
Yes. Oh, that's what it was from. E-Myth. Yeah. Yep. That's where it was. Yep.
Yeah, great book. Anyone wants to check that out, I highly recommend that.
That's the same thing, right? You read that and philosophically you understand it, but when you start doing it, then you really start getting it in terms of like practical reality of like, oh, okay, that's what it is.
The systems and processes and how to build a business. When you were talking about it, I was like, he must have read the email because that's the same thing I did. But awesome, dude. Well,
my Bible.
Thank you for hanging out with us, man.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Keep in touch. Ping me sometime, and we'll keep in touch. Maybe we can meet up or something at a conference. Sounds like you're doing some traveling, and hopefully I will too.
Dude. That'd be awesome.
And I'm actually moving a lot closer to you. I'm moving to Virginia, so much closer.
When are you moving there? Because I'll be there in 2 weeks.
I will be there in 2 weeks. Like just about, I think 2 weeks.
I'll be there the 16th through the 19th. There's a conference called Double Your Freelance Rate.
You're going to be leaving about the time I'm getting there. I think we're going to just miss each other.
Well, call me anyway when you get in town. Maybe we can do lunch or something like that.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool. Talk with you soon.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, man. Have a great day. Yeah, he's in Florida, so I know that's. I mean, from the West Coast, like that's his joke over there. I was like, oh, that's not far. Yeah, I can drive down to Florida and visit my buddy. I was like, because I'm from California and we have to drive forever to get to anything.
Oh, Florida? Jesus.
Yeah, it's like I'm used to driving 8 hours just to see my parents, so I can drive 10 hours, like past 3 states or something to visit a friend. That's no big deal. I do that just to get to the other side of California.
Dude, yeah, Florida's fucking ginormous. I'm trying to get a link real fast.
All right. Well, while you do that, I'll do our little wrap up. If you haven't already, I know I just said it, but definitely join Entrepreneurs Roundtable because it's an awesome group. That's kind of what supports all this in terms of where we get guests. A lot of it is based off of what we see the people in our roundtable need. So they'll be asking questions, things that they're struggling with, or things they need help with, or topics that come up, and then we go and we find guests based off of that. And not just things off of like, oh, this person will be really awesome and that's going to help grow our numbers. I mean, we do think about that at times. But most of the time it's like, hey, this would be awesome because so-and-so, and that blew up and there was like 30-something, comments within the first 15 minutes. Let's go find someone to address this because this is what our people need to learn. So definitely join it. It'll be a great resource for you. And then also next week, you want to mark your calendars. It will be back at 1 o'clock. We are going to be having a very special blab because, again, I talked about with what Mike talked about. We are going to be talking. I'm saying that too many times. We get redundant here. We're going to be talking about the title is Entrepreneur versus Artist, and we're going to be getting very meta, very self-referential here, and talking about the meaning of business and what's the purpose if you're not happy. And we got into it a little bit today. Like what does it matter if you get to the end of your life and you're basically Steve Jobs times Mark Cuban times Grant Cardone, and then you're not happy, a lot of stuff like that. And then also how to just a lot of these topics and stuff that we've been talking about, stuff we've been thinking about, stuff that we've been seeing in the group, because we've been seeing a huge influx of interest in the group of spending less time trying to, just make as much money as possible and being able to leverage their business and the freedom you have from being an entrepreneur and not having a cubicle to be able to help others and how to give back and how can we help someone versus a handout and actually make a difference in lives. And it's been really interesting what's been going on in that group. So join and then watch next week. And also we're going to talk about a way you can help us and help us to help more people and help us to get more content out there. So all of this will be talked about next week. You're going to definitely want to do it. Be there.
Yes. That's all I got. I'm actually trying to put a link for the roundtable into here.
So people, can just click on that.
Should have the, of course, my computer's like slow as hell. There we go.
Let's see. Let's race. Let's see who can do it first.
Done. Boom! That's why I rule. All right,
you also got that huge head start.
That's true.
Anything else you feel like you need to say to close it out, or did I kind of just grab it all this week while you're typing?
No, that's pretty much it, man. I put that link. What's up?
I said, and that's what I roll. I got it done.
That's what Jared rolls.
I like beating you with Phil's today, though, man. Like you killed me.
With what?
4 to 194. You killed me on Phil's today.
Phil's?
On Phil's.
Oh, Phil's. Oh yeah, fucking destroyed.
Normally it's pretty even, and it's funny because like our fans. They're gonna do that. But our fans, it's funny because like they normally like to try to keep us kind of even. So like if one of us gets ahead, someone gets on and they make us catch up, and they don't like us to be more than if you all notice that. But today, like, apparently you just did a better job because you destroyed me.
I felt like really
loved. My guess, but you win.
I felt loved last week when I was out for 30 minutes and I came back in. It was like within seconds, I beat everyone with feels. I was like, wow, like that's really nice.
People just wanted to see you get more feels than Sarah.
Probably. Because Sarah's awful. Just kidding.
She can't even defend herself because she's still asleep over in Australia.
She's still asleep in Australia, and it's the next day. She's still asleep in the future.
Still asleep in the future.
Real quick, I put in the chat box on the bottom left of your screen, which I guess I don't know where I'd be looking.
On the right it's on the right for me.
Oh, I'm sorry, on the right hand of your screen. It's on the right. It's the book is called The E-Myth. It's actually the first when I started getting into business, like really getting into my own business 3 years ago. I read that book. I got the audiobook, but I read it, listened to it all the way through. And I just put it in my car, and that was the first. Then I started reading everything, but that was the first book, and it's brilliant. It's basically about it. The E-Myth is the entrepreneur's myth, and it's about how entrepreneurs why they don't gain success, and was what basically one of the pieces in it was what Donnie said, and it's really about how to structure your business like a franchise. The reason franchises are successful because they have systems and processes in place, and they hire people on to do it. So everything Donnie said was pretty much to a T what the E-Myth is all about. And it's exactly how I built my business. And that's basically why I'm traveling right now, because I follow this whole structure. So check out that book. The link's in there. And check out our Facebook group. The link's in there as well. And
everyone go bug Donnie to get that post up. Go write that article.
Yeah, I want to do that. I want to follow that step by step.
I'm going to read that article and then vow to not read any more blog articles.
Yeah,
but I know. I got to get that one in first.
Yeah, go read the E-Myth and then stop reading.
Yeah.
All right. We should.
All right. That's it for this week. All right. See you guys. Hopefully see you next week. Also, spread the word. Help us get the word out for next week. We love you guys. We'll see you later.